Welcome to Riverbend Talent on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Another Thursday night in the Riverbend. Another sea shanty sing-along on our way down at Morrison's Irish Pub. And another Riverbend Talent on the airwaves here at 107.1 FM. The Big Z, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance. Also going on tonight already, Case 44 down at Fast Eddie's until 10. Kevin Wayne Gruen underway up at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville until 9 o'clock. Gary Hoey is in town, 7:30 at the Wild E tonight in Edwardsville. Trent Thrune is at Big Daddy's until 9. Paul Nienhaus Band at Staggering again tonight from 7 until 10. The Spencer McDowell, 6 to 9 at the Peel Wood Fire Pizza in Edwardsville. We got Jay Christopher down at Deutsch Village Inn from 7 to 11 tonight. Christmas at the Mill. Dave Toretta and Mike Newman from 5:30 to 8:30 tonight in Granite City. And the band Feel, they're in Newport, Connecticut tonight. And now, the star of the show, Lydia Copeland. Oh, Lydia Copeland's dad.
Yeah, there we go. 2 weeks in a row for Lydia.
Yeah, she is the star.
She is. She
has
is the
been
star.
for almost 10 years now.
Man, Phil down in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Man, those guys, every week those guys are hitting it. They're moving and shaking. Good to see some local boys doing some moving and shaking. And speaking of local boys doing moving and shaking, who's been moving and shaking around here since as long as I can remember? That's Mr. Jay Lipe. What's going on? Lean on into the mic just a little bit. Get familiar with it. I really like it.
Hey, good to see you, brother.
What's up, man? It has been a minute, but we were just next to him for the first time on the show, Mr. Tim Bauer. How you doing, Tim?
Doing great.
All right, so as I walked in, I didn't know Tim was going to be here. I'm happy to see you, but I hadn't. We go back to high school.
Yep.
Hadn't seen you since I think 2010. We were saying.
Yep.
So it's been a minute. How you been?
Been awesome.
Yeah.
Been raising kids. They're all in college now.
Nice.
So played guitar for a long time, and then gave it a break. And then not too long ago, I texted Jay because I sat down in a bar next to a guy who wouldn't stop talking. Reminded me of Jay. And so I texted Jay and said, hey, man, this guy is your doppelganger. And he goes, when are we going to play some music? I said, you say when? He said, tomorrow.
I love it. See, you know what, Jay? I love your attitude. Let me say that. Tomorrow. I like it. So you guys got together the very next day.
And now we're a band.
Nice. And
Tim's being modest. This week, I saw the video. My boy just benched 475 pounds clean. Bang. I'm proud of him. Healthy, not just raising family, taking care of himself and his family, having a good life. He never quit playing guitar. He just morphed into something. And, and then I was like, hey, morph, man. Hey, dude. See, I knew nothing of, I grew up like you guys did. You get your Jerry Reed.
In the mic.
You get your Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
You got your hee-haw. And somehow that uncle got that 2112 in, and the rest are, and you got the Sabbaths now hitting, and Jethro Tull's nailing. Oh, here comes Zeppelin and Hendrix. So all this is going on, and then in this town we lived in, when we were skating, then you had Black Flag, you had the Sex Pistols, and it was this. If you didn't know
God save the Queen.
You couldn't really hang out with everybody if you didn't go because you got to go. So I was at a party, man. I was like 13 years old, and Tim's over there with these two looking hard dudes, man. And I was like, right on. And they're like, they're really complaining because the singer that they had at the time, he's like, man, we don't want him. He's out. And I went like Ricky Bobby. I was like, I can sing. And we started a Misfits Black Sabbath tribute band. And, and that's where I started in music, is with this young gentleman right here.
Nice.
13?
Nice.
Yeah, I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So that was our first band together.
Going way back, man.
Crom.
It says Crom.
That's awesome.
He's the god of metal.
Did Crom play the prom?
Prom played. Well, we didn't play the prom, but we were invited to the honors course of the English class of the gifted program of Alton High, and we performed for the German students there. Remember that, brother?
I do.
Yes, we
That's
did.
crazy.
Yes,
Nice.
and we played Zeppelin. Now, the guy's like, here's a story. I haven't told him yet this either. So my buddy calls me today, and he says, Jay, and he sends me a picture. And it's a picture, and it says, Dear Brian, blah, 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 Bonham, with a little Bonham thing on a drum head, $30. And I sent him back. I said, dude, I think someone's on drugs. I'm sorry, but you didn't get enough for no $30. He goes, no, Jay, look at it. I go, what about it? He goes, that's the one I gave you over 10 years ago that I had signed by John Bonham. And this guy must have went through an estate sale. It's selling. So I got a hold of the guy today, and he was in O'Fallon. I said, sir, I'm just a poor rabbit over here in Illinois. Could you meet me at Bass Pro Shop? So he did. I picked up my friend. We drove over there. He bought it. I came home. We got it. We have John Bonham signed to my buddy Brian. He gave it to me. I gave it to a children's home. The kids took it through their life, and it went to a estate sale. It made money, and now it's back into our collection.
Look at that.
Yeah, that happened today. Something bigger than yourself, man.
That's what we're here to talk about. Something bigger than yourself, Pigman. 19th.
Wow.
Something bigger than yourself.
19th. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We were just talking. We were just talking with Brian Wilhite last year about how it's the 20th
year he was in the band.
and 20th Earth Tones Festival, I believe. And we were talking about how hard it is to make anything last that long. Successful bands putting out albums don't last that long,
Right.
So you're on 19.
Yeah,
that's congratulations,
Thank
man.
you, thank you.
Hard to do anything for that. Most marriages don't make it that long.
So for the folks that don't know, what is something bigger than yourself?
Okay, so 19 years ago, I'm a single father. My daughter was 6 years old. And it was Christmas time, and I was like, I wish I had like an SUV and a really cute girlfriend, and she had a son, and we're all four together, but it just wasn't that way in my life. I had a car dealership right down the street. I was dealing in all the exotic cars you guys have never seen. I had warehouses around here full of them. That wasn't good enough, the money, everything else. And I was raising my daughter, and I was happy, but still I was like, I wanted to give her more. So I was driving home, and I went up State Street, and all of a sudden I just had to pull over because my heart was hurting. I was just thinking about, life. I wanted to get myself together before I went home. So all of a sudden, I just knew. I forgot my whole life. There's this children's home called Catholic Children's Home. I knew it was there, but I wasn't thinking that when I pulled over. But I pulled over, and I looked over at it. And this might sound psychedelic, whatever you guys want to call it, but I looked in those walls, and those walls went away, and I looked in, and I saw kids walking around, and it touched my heart. I freaked out. I ran home, called my mom, said, get my daughter ready. Picked her up in this big Mercedes I had sedan, took her to Target, and I said, buy whatever you want for Christmas. Anything, I said, buy everything. We filled that. It's just me, her, like crunched in that car. So I was driving down the road, and I said, Samantha, I might not ever be able to give you a mother. And she said, Daddy, I'm 6 years old. I don't need one. When I was 4, I did. So I drove her to the orphanage, and I let her know that these don't have either. And she goes, Dad, can we give them the gifts? And I said, good idea, honey. We walked up there and rang the doorbell, and that was year one, never knowing that was what this would be. I thought it was just me and her. I love her. I want to teach her I'm her father, and she'll always be loved by me, and that's enough. And so then the next year, down at Muddy Pub, I had this band called Ancient Chinese Secret, and I was getting, some good shows and having some fun with it. And so we had a party one night. And I never take money. I've never been paid for. I've been given things, cars and stuff, but I just don't play music for money. I don't. So anytime I ever make money and I have a band, I just give it to the band because I'm there for the music. So anyway, I made like $450 on the second year. So I went up and knocked on the Catholic Children's Home, and I said, hey, man, you guys want to go to Golden Corral? I took them all to Golden Corral, man. And so then the next year after that, people started giving like a basketball, a Monopoly. What can you do, Jay? Here's money. Well, I'll just buy toys. I'll buy what I want. But it was always musical. So we gave music stuff to the children's home in Alton. But then it evolved, and then so Steve Jackson, I grabbed Steve and myself, and we went to seven.
In there like you was.
We went to 7 children's hospitals. Excuse me. Let me slow you down. We went to 7 children's orphanages in 7 days in 7 different cities in 4 different states, and that was a week and a half before Christmas, I think 2009. And so we went into every single children's orphanage and put brand new drum kits, bass kits, amplifiers, guitars, skateboards, basketballs, footballs, Monopoly games, pizza party, piñatas. And so we'd show up and we'd perform for the kids. And then when we got done, we'd take the equipment off and leave it there, and then have people at the home work with them with the stuff. So I've built music rooms in 18 children's orphanages in over 15 states in America, and I just got back last year from Mexico. I went to my first home for sex trafficking. They had all these kids there that was stolen out of sex trafficking, and I'm in the middle of and so I went there with vans full of stuff. We showed up there, and they were opening presents to March. When I spoke to the kids, they were all looking at me confused, and I was like looking at them, and then all of a sudden the interpreter started speaking. You could see their eyes opening. You could see them smiling. I mean, we came in with clothes, foods, bicycles, skateboards. I ended up becoming a real 501c3 nonprofit, and I'm a businessman, and I'm honest, so people give to me. One of my biggest sponsors was Helm Camp. Helm Camp, they didn't tell me they're going to give me money. Here, Jay, here's $10,000. Yeah, Home Camp, can you hear me? Thank you. So I just went out and rented a tour van, grabbed my guitar player and a drummer, and we just took off to Memphis. And we went to Le Bon Hare Children's Hospital. Then we went through Mississippi, and I got to play in the Peanut Gallery, and then we came on down, and we went to New Orleans and went to the Children's Hospital in New Orleans. Then we went to Mobile, Alabama for the Women and Children's. Every one, we were dropping off tons, just bags of just toys. Boom, boom, boom. We finally get to Tampa, and then I go to work with the Jacksonville Neurological Department. We come in there and just say, gifts. Crazy thing happened. During that whole tour we're doing that, I've got one of the Allman Brothers guitars in my hand. You know, Greg's son. Devin. Yeah, so Devin signed it, and at one of the Play It Forward events. I was invited out there, so Devin signed. So I've carried it around for 7 years. So I had that on that whole tour. We wake up in Savannah, and it hit my heart. I'm like, there is a children's orphanage in Macon. I just freaking know it. My friends were like, what? I said, no, dude, there is one. So I get on there, and I pull it up, and I said, you guys open this? And we're open till 5. And so me and my friends jumped in the van, got everything we owned, and we drove straight to that place. And we walked in. It was a Methodist children's home with 80 kids, and we just gave them conga drums. I mean, it was insane. But I also gave them Devin's guitar.
Yeah.
Now here's what's magical about that. As soon as I did that, they said, do you know the Allman Brothers live right around the corner? And I said, no, I didn't. So anyway, I said goodbye to everybody. And we went out right before we left. I pulled over, man, because you can't go to these things without having to check yourself. I've seen some pretty hard men fall when they come with me on these things. So we got ready, got in the car, and we took off. And we drove to the right, we drove to the left, and it was just like, where are we going? I don't know. All of a sudden, we pull over, and there's a big gate with a mushroom on it. So I walk up to the gate, and their light flipped on, and I walked up, and I said, hi, is this the Allman Brothers family? Yes. I said, well, I just gave Devin's guitar to come on in. So then I spent the next 2 hours of my life walking in the home, hanging out with the Allman Brothers family. And what's cool is that Devin has a brother named Elijah Blue. Elijah Blue had a band called the Almond Joys in Atlanta, Georgia in 94, 95, 96. They were my next door neighbors. I had performed bass with the Almond Joys, jamming around with them.
Which was the Allman Brothers' original name.
That was their original name. I've got recordings from the Almond Joys, the original Almond Joys.
So outside on my Jeep, there's a big old sticker on it, and it says the Big House, Macon, Georgia. Bam. So Some Bigger Selves really helped out because we went to elderly homes. We've delivered, and since the last 3 years, I have personally myself delivered over 1,800 bouquets of flowers to widows in orphanages, on elderly homes across the Missouri and Illinois area. And we give chocolate to them, and anybody wants to come along, they come. I've had people that actually learned how I did it, and they go do it. And so all we really do is we want to help children that live in less fortunate conditions, children that are facing terminal conditions, individual child, the elderly, and we've just got a new division. Last year, we now build Frisbee golf courses at fire departments. So we're doing that now too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just try to help people that help.
Man,
Appreciate that.
So that was a great explanation for something bigger than yourself, because there's a lot of people get to hear what it actually is about, not just a quick, one-liner. Oh, we try to put instruments in kids' hands that are less fortunate. You know what I'm saying? It was a great explanation, and there was a lot. This is what's weird about it all, though. To me, I'm so screwed up in the head, right? You just said all this stuff, touching stuff that's happened for kids who got nothing, and I can empathize with this sort of lifestyle of having nothing, right? But so you even said it yourself, seen strong men fall at this. and still there's a couple things that stuck out to me in that, and they have nothing to do with all that touching, heartfelt stuff. It kind of is. You said at the age 6, your daughter said she didn't need a mom anymore because she was 6. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, she had to grow up. She bought her first house at she was 19 years old.
Okay.
That's how badass that was.
What's your daughter's name?
Samantha. Hi, baby. I love you with all my heart.
So here we go. This is what got me about that is the attitude of a 6-year-old. I don't need a mom. I'm good. I'm 6 now, man. Mm-hmm. What, do I look like a 5-year-old to you?
Right.
You know what?
This ain't JV.
You know what I mean? And that's what blew me away. Was like at 6 she's stating, I don't need a mom. I'm 6, man. What do you? Why are you even bringing that up, bro? Yeah.
You know what's even cool about that is now I'm a grandfather.
Yeah, you were showing me the pictures, right?
My granddaughter has a very rare disease. It's called Shashi-Pina syndrome. Mm-hmm. There's only 60 people in the world with it. She was born, she's now going on her 13th month. She's 16 pounds. She's the cutest little thing in the entire world. She's going to have to fight her whole life. And I've never seen anybody fight for her like I watched my daughter. She's become a doctor. The first 11 months, I guarantee they lived 4 to 5 months of pure hospital. My granddaughter still has a thing in her stomach that they have to use for feeding. It came out the other day, but my daughter was strong enough, got a turkey baster, fixed it, and got my granddaughter back.
Wow.
It's something that's that affects mental, physical, and it does a lot more. But I'm still a man of God, and I still know that she is put here as the most purest form of love I've ever seen. And I can barely be around her because I start crying because she's so beautiful. You can only spend so much time around that little girl, especially when she's watching her TV and she don't want to see you. She's like, no, I got my show. I'm like, you're 1 year old, though. She's, no, it's my show. Oh, and there's my mom back there grinning because she did that to her. But yeah, life's about family. That's what it's all about. Always has been.
Absolutely. And your family has grown into how many orphanages now?
We've worked with 18 orphanages. 18. I've worked with 12 children's hospitals. I've worked with, 15, 18 elderly homes, hundreds and hundreds of individual children. There's stories. There was a young man who was diagnosed with cancer the day before Christmas of 2014. And he had a twin or a younger brother. He's just like same age. He was 7 years old in that area, 6 and 7. And it hurt my heart. So I made sure to, something bigger than yourself, we went and had 2 custom longboard skateboards made, 2 custom shirts and and sent them to him. And the family gave me the picture of him and his brother. He died 1 year later on Christmas Eve the next year. So I don't know if he ever got to ride that skateboard, but I know it was by his bed. And
wow.
We've given guitars to families where the child passed away and the family keeps the guitar in remembrance and they still reach out to me.
Yeah.
We've given guitars to kids that have made it. Okay, here's great story. I take a guitar and I paint El Monstero all over it. I'm like, hey, nice. Why am I doing that? I said, because I'm just going to do it to do it. So El Monstero was playing down in the Ozarks. And at the time, the year beforehand, I had 6 children's homes in Fredericktown, Missouri I worked with, and I took Beth Gundicker Realty, took her with me. When she came back, she says, you've got to start a nonprofit. And I said, well, you got to be the CFO. So
good move.
So we started it. So she invited me down. She had a place down there, and I went down there and went to the El Monstero guys. Got in with them, got them all to sign the guitar. I was
nice.
Like, very nice.
Yeah.
So I took that guitar with me. And I took that on the same trip of the 7 cities with the other guitar, but I didn't give that one away. I came back here. I couldn't find anybody in the country to give that guitar to. So I'm sitting there, and it's like January after Christmas. I still got the guitar. And all of a sudden, I called my buddy. I said, dude, I'm picking you up. So I drive to Collinsville. We go to Walmart. I drop $1,500. Man buys me toys. We fill that big Jeep of mine up with just big garbage bags from Lowe's, the black ones, basketballs, footballs, everything. So we drive to Cardinal Glennon Hospital, and I still have that guitar on me. So he's carrying in a big old thing of bag, and I got the guitar. And as we're walking in, a man comes walking out with his wife and like a grandma, and he goes, I want that guitar. And you guys know me. I do nice things, but I'm also sometimes a little rough, and God uses us foolish things to do them. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I said, what have you done? I've been carrying this guitar for a while, man. And I was like, what do you do? He goes, nothing. And I looked over. I go, what are you here for? And he goes, and they told about their son Elijah. He was 3 years old. He's been there for 10 days. he had toxicity in his lung that pushed it over and collapsed it and caused pneumonia and heart problems with this kid. And he was looking like the movie Matrix when you have the tubes in you before they close on the egg on you. And so I didn't get to see him, but I said to the dad, I said, and Mom started crying. I took the guitar and I gave it to the dad. I said, you're going to teach that kid how to play Comfortably Numb. It went to him. So then we gave all the gifts away and left. About 4 days later, I'm back home, and you guys know these January gray. It's just so my heart touched me, and I'm like, I gotta go visit that kid again. So I ran to Walmart in Godfrey and got me a big Tyrannosaurus Rex and a huge Corvette, and I said, I'm on my way. So I drove out. It's like 6 o'clock night, raining, cold, nasty, and I get out there, and I was just thinking, I'm gonna go in, give it to the nurses, and leave. But I go in there and I said, hey, is those? And they go, oh yeah, they're upstairs. Let me call them. Mom comes downstairs and says, would you like to meet Elijah? And I said, yeah, I would. So we went up to this, elevator. I'm not supposed to be there, and the rooms are painted with, elephants and cute shit, but this ain't nothing cute about it. And so we went back in there, and that father was exhausted. It was a dark room, big bed, big room, and a very tiny little boy in that little huge bed with everything in him. I went up to that kid, and I showed the dinosaur. Here's a dinosaur. Dude, the pain went worse. Showed him the Corvette, those eyes went worse. There was nothing. It was just painful. So I don't know why I did it, but I was like, hey, do you care if I pray for him? And they said no, so they closed the door. And I just asked God, I said, Lord, could you open a portal of light and let your healing hands come down and touch this young boy? There's nothing anybody can do. They couldn't operate it. They wanted to operate, but he's too feverish. You can't operate because he's too much fever. So everything's being stopped, and I said, Lord, please help this boy. And I said a few more things, but we're on air. But it was of goodness, and I'm responsible for my words. So after I left, I drove home, and I started breaking down crying. Who am I to say that he's going to be healed? And I'm like, I was like, I felt this emotions, but I just came home, and I was like, so for the next couple days, she went cold on Facebook. And then I was being quiet, and then she's reached out, and I was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, and I just kept on praying for this kid. About 4 days later, 7 days into this, they send me a picture, and that 3-year-old boy is sitting in his mom's house on the couch holding the El Monstero guitar. Went home with nothing, no surgery, nothing. That's awesome. Wow. And that's real stuff. So here's what's cool about that. Dave Favar, for the saxophone player for El Monstero, he wasn't there that time. They brought in a different guy to play sax, so I didn't get his signature. But he came over to my house 2 days ago, and we played for 2 hours in the basement with John Pace on drums and Greg Bierman on congas. And so I got a new conga this year, and I had Dave sign it, and we're all signing it. I have you sign it, and then we're going to play Saturday at Charlotte. All the bands are going to sign it there. And then on the 20th, we're having the bowling alley event. All the bands are going to sign it there. Then all the kids are going to sign it. Everybody's going to sign it. And then 8 o'clock on Saturday the 20th, I'm having a dance disco competition. And the children from the Catholic Children's Home, the children from the Boys and Girls Club, and the Beverly Farm are competitors. And we've got prizes and gifts, and it's going to be wonderful. Santa will be there at 8, and it's going to be a good time.
It's all out at Bullhaven.
It's Bullhaven.
Nice.
So, Tim,
so everybody's welcome. So I want to tell a Jay story real quick. We were at a party.
Am I going to bring you back to another interview?
Maybe not. We're at a party up in Wood River at my buddy's dad's house, and we're just having a good time and everything. And we happen to mention that we're going to New Orleans the next day, staying with some friends that have a houseboat. And just part of the conversation that's what's up with us. We're going to be leaving tomorrow morning. And so we get in the car the next morning, and we head out, and we drive down to Des Almonds. It's right outside New Orleans. And we pull up in the parking lot where the boat is, and somebody's getting on and off the boat. And as we get closer, it's Jay. And Jay is putting band equipment, full set of drums, amps, guitars, everything. He's putting band equipment on the deck of this boat.
It's a yacht.
Nice.
And so when I walked in and I said, oh, look at this beautiful freaking yacht. And it was New Year's weekend. It was Ohio State versus Alabama. We were in New Orleans. The night before, they're like, hey, guess what we're doing? I'm like, man, my name ain't Skip. So I just went and packed, because I had all this gear at home. I just packed everything up, and I beat them there.
And so we get on the boat, and for the next week.
I'm a good man, Mom, I promise.
For the next week, we're jamming on the deck of this boat down in New Orleans, you know, having a good time and everything. And so we're about to pack it up, and Jay is like, sign this guitar. You know, he's done his Something Bigger Than Yourself design on it and stuff. And I'm like, why do you want me to sign your guitar, Jay? like seriously.
Because
he says,
tonight,
yeah,
you're back on your back.
He's like, dude, you know, I'm going to take this to an orphanage before I leave town. I was like, seriously? Like, that's a lot of equipment, man.
Right.
But that's what he did.
Nice.
And
yeah, don't go back with me. And whatever I take doesn't come home.
yeah, so we got to enjoy it. We got to sign it. So somewhere out in the world's, you know, this equipment with
your autograph
with our autograph on it.
And it was really,
You know what? Those some kids loving it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you know, probably lots of kids have passed it around. You know, and they all go, man, I bet Tim Bauer's cool.
There you go.
Oh man, this is the thing about you tell all this touching stories about all this great stuff. And in your second set of stories here, you again touched on one of the things that stuck out to me in the beginning. You said you took that kid's skateboards. Mm-hmm. All the stuff everything you're saying that you take to these kids, I'm like, well, that was all stuff was cool when we were kids.
You know,
that was all stuff that we wish we had when we were kids.
this kid comes up to me and he says, what if I break the skateboard? And I was like, tell me how you did it, and I'll get you a new one, bro. I said, make it count, make the story count, bro.
Right. Show me a scar, man.
Yeah.
Show me a scar.
Show me a scar, man.
That's fabulous, man.
For sure.
So.
For sure.
So there you go, Mr. Jay Lipe and Mr. Tim Bauer sitting in with us talking about something bigger than yourself. When is that happening?
Okay, so Saturday night is the pre-party at the Charlock Pub. We've got Hosteen. Hosteen is the smooth. I mean, if you drink malt liquor, you drink it when Hosteen plays. He'll bring his piano out. He might bring a drummer. I'm not sure, but he is just a K-Tel hip hop smooth artist. And
K-Tel.
K-Tel smooth, man. But he still gets a little fun. Now, and then here's a good one too. JJ Riggs, Jerry Riggs, guys, our buddy Jerry.
Yeah.
I saw him at Walmart. I said, brother, you're playing. And I go, what's your band name? He goes, oh, let me know about tonight. Gave it to him. He's in. I had to have Jerry Riggs because he's so good. And of course, Joshua Grassle and all his guys. Joshua has been supporting, and you have too, Cottonmouth. My God, I still have that flyer from, that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, when Tim was telling the story about why do you want me to sign this, I think I had the same conversation with him. I was like, why me? You know.
Here's the reason why is that we have probably, Something Bigger Than Yourself has easily given over 250 guitars away and drums and all this stuff. So I made sure they are all signed by anybody that was involved. If this little child was in the room eating cupcake, here, sign this, man, and put your name on something. And so it's interesting. We just had Andy Summers from the Police sign one last month. I met up with him
Up at Wildy?
Yeah, Wildy Theater. Up the Wildy now, they've got. I gave him a framed picture of the little boy at the Barnes Jewish Hospital holding his police guitar.
I was so bummed I didn't make it out to see that.
That
one,
was
man.
amazing.
Dude, the Police were like my favorite band all through like junior high school, and Stuart Copeland. Just shut up, dude. He was my favorite drummer till I heard Levon Helms. You know?
I get that.
And I was, but so you know, here's the funny thing though. One time I was at one of these events and I saw one of those guitars and I walked up and signed it. Jay's like, dude, you just took it down in value. You ruined it. You're like one person who I don't want signing this.
Thank God it's free though. Huh? 'Cause
Right.
Yeah.
He put a big black piece of tape over it. He's like, I can still get a kid to take it.
It's cool too because like Facebook will show pictures of years ago and it'll show a picture of a guitar I forgot. I was like, oh, I forgot about that one. That was cool.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Charlack's Pub is where the pre-party or the first. When is that? This
Charlock
Saturday?
is this Saturday, 7 o'clock.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
When you hang out.
That's like the pre-party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before you tell us about the party, let's talk about Charlock for a second. You hang out there. You go around.
Charlock, Judy is the best.
agree.
It's my CBGBs of St. Louis that's close enough to me. And if I want to get gritty and get into the right stuff, that's the right stuff.
Man.
It don't get any righter than rain there.
You haven't played St. Louis until you play Charlock Pub.
So Cat Muse, she had us out there a couple months ago, and they did a live audio of us doing a podcast and play a couple songs in an interview. And it just made sense. It was like, we got to have a Christmas party. I'm doing something bigger yourself pre-party here.
Right, yeah. Love that place.
So you familiar with the band Torchlight Parade? I know those guys talked about going over.
It's
sure.
the best.
And playing, because that's where like that was on the heavy edge. For sure, that's where the players are.
Let me tell you
in
how
St.
deep
Louis.
these players are. I went there one time a few years ago, and I walked in there, and this is when we were having our downtown thing on Broadway with our little music. So the guys from the Houses of the Holy were there, but their bass player wasn't. But I was.
Yeah.
And, we had some fun.
I was going to say, those guys hang out there on Mount Stero.
Well,
Those
I was
guys
going to say, I remember Quinn. Quinn the Eskimo Mark.
It's like I said, that's the place you go through as a musician in St. Louis. If you don't, you're not a St. Louis musician.
The specific reason I brought up Torchlight Parade is because they're also involved with a great movement called St. Baldrick's. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they do it's a.
I have heard St. Baldrick's.
It's a nationwide, but they're involved with the guy who runs the St. Louis chapter. However, I'm telling you this because once a year they do a big show as a big fundraiser. And Torchlight Parade plays it every year, but they also have other bands play it. This would be a perfect.
The Lords of Jupiter.
Yeah.
There and there it is.
There it is.
See, I was waiting for you to say. Dennis flipped over the note to me to say what it is.
Two brothers in Torchlight Parade.
Okay.
And they work at a funeral home.
The
One drives a hearse. One does the embalming.
And the guy whose son died of cancer, I can't remember his name, who's in charge, who's like the guy in charge of the St. Louis thing. He's the funeral home director.
Right.
And then they both work there, but then their band's Torchlight Parade. That's an old timey funeral, the old. But they'll borrow caskets and stuff and put it on stage.
Oh yeah, they go full Alice Cooper. Yeah, they're cool.
But they're that St. Baldrick's. I just seem like a perfect fit for you, where you should have. What was it? Lords of Jupiter.
The Lords of Jupiter.
Lords of Jupiter.
Okay, so let's get to what's important to me. Is I know this man across here, Bash, like I know Tim, but these two don't know each other. And in the beginnings
It's
of
very weird.
Yeah, very weird because
super weird.
Because in this area of punk rock, you kind of knew who you were in the 83, 84, 85 scene. So I was singing with Crom, and I was going to the Cottonmouth shows, watching Bass sing, and I was like, so it was so there, it was so good, and Culture Shock at that time, and it was just it was such White Trash. They were amazing.
So I remember White Trash, Culture Shock, Cottonmouth was 88, 89.
Yeah, we're a little later.
Around
I was in the military.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
White Trash and those guys early 80s, man. That was like.
My favorite band of Alton will always be the Avon Ladies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's Fritz.
Little Fritz, man.
Dude, and finally Fritz came over a couple years ago, and he and I in the basement before he went to Austin, and we sat and jammed for an hour together for the first time. And it was because I was always like that younger kid under him, and he was always like the singer of Clash that had those cool Midtown parties. Man?
Dude.
Oh, it's good stuff. But we finally got to mesh once.
And but you're right. The punk rock scene was, dead.
So we stopped the story though because back to Tim.
Oh
right?
yeah.
He was in Children of Death.
Oh yeah.
With Butch.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that part of it yet.
I have lots of Butch stories.
Yeah, and Butch was into that punk rock scene and the skateboarding.
Oh yeah.
So
It was a beautiful thing.
there's the tie-in there.
And we all went to Hopper's Music together.
That's right.
All time. Jody.
Oh man, shit! I give Don and Jody we're sponsored by Halpin Music. Everybody go out to Halpin and buy something now. But
I put my '74 Gibson there 2 days ago. I give them the good stuff. They know what they're doing.
Getting Butch in
there
here
you
with
go.
us.
Yep,
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm showing my tattoo
There you
of
go.
Butch.
Yeah.
That is,
Butch's family treated me like family. You guys
Yeah.
are my family. It wasn't just Cottonmouth was a family, and I came in and my God, on Rick's 50th birthday. That's Butch's uncle, right?
right. Uncle
On his
Rick.
50th birthday, he comes up and hands me a 1971 Fender bass and says, "This is for you on my birthday."
Yeah. That's Uncle Rick. He did that for all the kids.
Oh man.
I took it to Danny Pace and we built it.
Yeah.
And and then Danny passed away, so I have Butch's bass and Danny's bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Pretty cool.
I'm trying to remember. You bring up Danny Pace, and that flashes me back to when I was
He's been
so
playing
young.
with Jay for a long time.
Was that? Let's see. It was a Passenger. Nasty Habits. I'm trying to remember what he was in a band whenever I was probably about 15 or 16.
Just Mister. Oh, he was in them all, man.
And it was when you just blasted me back to like when I first got my driver's license and stuff. When you bring up that name, man. Oh yeah. So there you go. Wow. That's a serious blast from the past.
What's cool about Tim is Tim got me into this power aggression, and I always was into punk rock anyway, hanging out with Sean Staggs, and I was doing my punk, but then he got me a way to express it. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I was just always about being on the front and being on top, and just killing music and nailing it. Well, we broke up and did our thing, and then so I didn't see Crom. And I miss Crom because Crom's important to me. You go to any of my interviews, I always speak Crom. It's like my red bud. One day I'm dying, Crom.
So over the past 30 years, if I haven't seen Jay in a while or Jay hasn't seen me in a while, you just get a random text and all it says is Crom.
Right.
In capital letters with exclamation points.
Doesn't need
It's always Crom.
That's all it needs to say. So, and then our drummer we have in Lords of Jupiter, John Paraka. And John has been with me forever. Since we were 14, we started the Malachi Brothers. And,
I remember them.
Yeah, and John went with me to record in Sun Records. He's opened for Black Flag with me a couple times, and Reagan Youth. And we went and won the Fredericktown Music Festival, one down there. Then we went and headlined the St. Louis Rock Festival. We were playing all these different, festivals and it was good stuff. Ancient Chinese Secret was fun. That was a fun band for me.
Man, all this old punk rock talk, it's I want to go home and dig out Flogging a Dead Horse and just play it over and over again. I think that might have been like my first punk rock album was Flogging a Dead Horse, and I just over and over pretty much back then when we were, I'm sure you guys were the same. When you bought an album as a kid,
Oh, yeah.
you listened to it like 20 times because it's the new thing that you got, and then you go back and listen to all the old ones too. But.
So Klaus Fluoride, the bass player for Dead Kennedys, last month he's not very, he's what he's not. He's everything else badass. But he put this thing up and he says, "This is a Dead Kennedys tour shirt, mine, personal collection in my drawer, hand signed by everybody in the band on the." And so he put it up, and it's an auction for a good cause. It's Casa out in San Francisco, and he helps children and he helps women, and so I wasn't going to let that auction go.
Right.
So I got that shirt sitting in my house now. He sent me a hey Jay, thanks man, and I got a Christmas card from the Dead Kennedys. I'm hanging in my house. Thank you. Thank you.
Come on, man.
2025 Dead Kennedys.
TV party tonight. We're gonna have a TV party.
Oh yeah, Greg. This summer I went on a first tour. I went on a wild solo tour. Greg Ginn of Black Flag let me use the first 4 years album cover on my flyer. So I came out with a Black Flag flyer, and I went and played Chicago this year. Then I headlined the Muskegon Harley Festival, and then played up in St. Joseph and a few art factories and stuff. But yeah, that was cool. And Greg and I are friends. I mean, we talk at least once every month. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Well, talk to me about the actual party.
Oh, the party. Back to the party. All right. So Saturday night, we're going to have some good music. It's going to be a good time. And it's cold out and everything else. I get that. And I'm just trying to put something in a good time. So
Charlac is this Saturday.
That's Saturday the 13th.
You refer to that as the pre-party.
Yeah.
So what is the party?
The party is the 20th Saturday. And that is at Alton Bullhaven. I rented out the entire bowling alley. That means you hear my voice, you can come. And we're going to have...
Come on out.
We're going to have a great time.
It's free, right?
Okay.
Is it free?
So, I've been doing...
Free.
Okay.
Question. You just said, if you hear my voice, you can come. So you've just invited everybody that could possibly be... You don't know who's tuned in.
There's going to be somebody right now, just maybe one or two people, and they're like, you know what? I got nothing to do, and they'll show up. And then it's everybody that ever comes, they're supposed to be there.
Here's my question to you, though. Anybody who shows up, you said you rented out the entire bowling alley. So, you could just go bowl?
Well, you can do more than that. There's going to probably be there's going to be a piñata, and there's probably going to be some... I know the kids are going to be doing the Twister games, and then we're going to have the dance competition. And there's a contest for the best bowler. And then we have the World Wrestling Federation belts. And there's a contest for the best dancer. We have contests for costume and for best dressed table. We're bringing in the Catholic Children's Home. We're bringing in the Boys and Girls, and I'm bringing in I'm bringing in a lot of friends. We're having churches, U.S. Bank. It's going to be like packed. And then, oh, by the way, in the bar, I got 5 bands playing tonight too.
Yeah.
And just come on in and enjoy yourself and go bowling. And well, there's a present. This kid came up to me because he saw his brother get a basketball last year, and he goes, "Can I have a basketball?" And I said, "No, but you can have this bicycle." And so we're backed by the Joshua House of St. Louis, my friends at the Faithful Few Motorcycle Club. I'm backed by a lot of good people in music. I think there's been over 140 bands that's played in the last 19 years. If I really put them all together.
Yeah.
We did that one show like 11 bands. I mean, so
yeah.
So it's just.
I was going to say that was Ancient Chinese Secret. I'm pretty sure. Wasn't that Third and State? I don't know if that's what it was called at the time.
I believe that we were at Marty Crawlers in the back room for that or something.
Okay. Or was it Big Muddy?
We did that one too. I think we did both.
Yeah.
You know, I was putting them anywhere I could, you know. But here's the crazy thing. About 10 years ago, I was doing it. I said it because first couple of years I didn't realize I was doing it. Finally, about 6-7 years into it, I realized, oh, by the way, I'm doing this. And then when Beth called me on it to make it a real nonprofit, I had to grow up real quick. And I sat down and I did everything I needed to do. I became my own attorney. I went up and did all my paperwork, and I'm federally recognized, and also by the state of Illinois. And not one person in 19 years has ever taken a paycheck. If anything, I match you with my work and some of my funds. And this is a giveaway because that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Right.
Now, if one day, if enough came to me and said, "Jay, we have $10 million to give you, and you can't do what you do. You need to give $10 million away this year." Okay, well, just throw me enough to pay this, and I'm gone. I'll go give it away. Right. I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
We went to Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, last year I took off and we went to Phoenix, Arizona, and worked with 3 children's hospices in Phoenix. I came back and ran down to Springfield, Missouri for the children's hospital. I hired this girl to box all these toys. We came into the children's cancer ward in Springfield last year, Missouri, and we walked in that huge tree there in the big open foyer, but there's no presents on the tree. So I went to my Jeep and just stuffed it with presents and sat there for a couple of hours and would let anybody walk by until they took a toy. Finally, they showed up, well, who are you? I said, oh, the rest of this is for the cancer ward. Thank you, bye. And I got a Christmas card for them too this year. Yeah. And then after that, we went to Mexico, and then we came back. Last year, Valentine's was a great one. We went to Benton Harbor, Michigan. I live in Michigan during the summers. I have probably the last 12 years. And I go up and I take a kayak and a Jeep and I go live in Lake Superior, and I go by myself for weeks upon time, and I love it. And I'll hit music festivals and perform up there, and I play in different places. It's second home to me. And so the Benton Harbor is in between St. Joseph and Grand Haven. And it's the only way to explain it's the hit and run of Michigan. Okay. So I went there this Valentine's because one of our closest friends, Brad Jones, who passed away, his widow said she just laid the credit card down and funded me, and so she wrapped all the presents. So I drove up and lived up in Michigan for 3 weeks and just went snowboarding, and then I went and showed up for Valentine's, and boom, it was insane. The kids, I mean, it was, and so that, and it's. I've made so much money working for regular jobs in life, and who cares about that? What did you do? What was your purpose? And did you help a child, or did you help the elderly? Because that's important. And I'm so grateful that my parents taught me this before I had my daughter, because this is me as a man. But it took the seed of her love and my love for her to do that, and then my love for her is so strong it just keeps continuing.
Yeah, and we talk all the time on this program about why music is important to a community, and one of our number one things we always bring up is anytime you need to raise some money, bands around here will donate their time and you will raise money. And I guarantee you will raise money when you have some live music in there. People will show up, they'll be donating. And
here's what's great about this is that I always make sure, like, to go to Bullhaven, you're not donating this to me. I'm paying you.
Right.
So and also all the kids there show up there. If you're hungry, come to me. So I'll take care of all that.
Yeah.
But here's what I liked. Michael Reister says, I'm going to come out in the cold weather and set up an entire PA system with lights and everything for free and run the sound all That's what the stuff you don't see.
Exactly, and that's what we talk about on this program constantly. Is
Thanks, Mike.
You know, if you're not a fan of local music, you've got to be a fan of what local music gives back to the community. I mean, how many bands have you had over the 19 years?
Yeah, over 140.
You know
man.
that show up for that reason, and it's easy. You just say, "Hey, you guys want to raise some money?" and they'll be there.
One time I had this guy call me from Fiji Islands, and he's like, "Hey man, I used to be in an orphanage. I want to pay for an entire orphanage. Pick one and take care of it and send me the bill. Here you go, sir."
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just and music too, especially because being from Alton, it's a very special place in this world. And living here in the 70s and 80s and being a musician and having the bass guitar grabbed me. I didn't grab it. And so living in this town, there is so much music's important, but it's like that in all the towns, everywhere.
Yeah.
And everywhere you're in your basement with your best friend and you're listening to that for the first time and you're trying to play it, or you finally got the album done and you guys, yeah, I can jam this, you know, but nobody can ever really sing it right. And but it's just, so it's important. So I wanted to give what's important to me. So that's why I give skateboards. I'm a big skateboard activist. That's BMX bikes.
I was going to say bikes, yeah.
Yeah, cupcakes. I love cupcakes. If there's any grandma out there and you're in Alton on the 20th, bring your own special cupcakes. I promise you the kids will take them home if we don't, and if you want to bring a gift out, get a Monopoly game, drop it on the table. It's okay. Kickballs, I love them. Basketball, soccer balls, wiffle balls, art supplies, gift cards for $25, and I'll give every one of them to the kids at Catholic home. I do every year anyway, so they get shoes. Guys, we're a big community. This is Alton, Illinois, and if you're listening right now, somethingbiggerthanyourself.org 100% goes to the children and to the elderly. If you want to be a part of this, please do. I will sit down. In fact, the Presbyterian Church is inviting me 10 a.m. tomorrow to speak to them at Coffee Grounds.
Yeah.
Then I've got a donor taking me out to lunch at noon.
And don't forget, December 20th, Bullhaven, right?
Bullhaven, December 20th, Bullhaven.
Come on out.
Yeah.
I mean, so from the other side of it, if you can't bring anything, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just come out.
Yeah. I don't care if you don't have any money. Come out here. And here's a great thing too. That's why I have all these lanes, because there's going to be people coming out with no idea we're there, thinking it's a party there, and they always show up and they're like, "Can we get a room?" They make them wait to come. Oh, well, I talk to them and I'm like, "Yeah, come on in, man." And if they got kids, they get gifts, and I sit them down, make sure they're fed. And yeah, if you show up uninvited, I don't care. You're here with me.
Yeah. Sorry, no room in the inn.
This is Bullhaven, folks. Aren't we supposed to have the best parties?
For sure.
1970s, the movie Corvette Summer was filmed there.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
It's Bullhaven, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
For sure. And you know, like, we've watched this, we've promoted it for you all these years, and you know, of all the locations you've chose to have this, Bullhaven is the absolute perfect place. I mean, when I seen you started doing it there, I'm like, that's it. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the kids can get involved.
Yeah.
You know? So,
well, what's interesting is that every year that I had the festivals for us 21 and over, it's because I would then make sure the kids.
Right.
But you are right. That was one event we could have the kids there. Most of those events were 21 and over.
Exactly.
Events. But for 19 years, it wasn't a bad.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad to have it there. And you're right, because you really, if you just come and sit down, and you will see, because the homes, you'll see these kids, you'll see some of them act quiet, some of them are crazy, because we all express pain differently.
mm-hmm.
And the counselors at these places, these are my friends. A couple of years ago, I rented out the arcade down in Wood River, right?
I remember that.
All right,
yeah.
so we brought all this Moscacholi. I mean, dude, I'm talking Doritos, Funyuns, everything they're not supposed to have. I was Snicker barring it. I mean, Kit Kats. I mean, above, beyond what you're.
Right.
So that was the first year for the World Wrestling Federation belt.
Okay.
So I brought all the kids in there, and there's hundreds of things. So we went to the Star Wars. And I said, you guys will all play on Star Wars. Winner takes the belt home. It's like all 28 of them had to play. At the end of the night, the counselor won. He took the belt home with him, and he kept it in his office for a year. True story. But it's just, so we're having, and we also threw the biggest water balloon fight in the history of Alton, Illinois. I bought 7,777 water balloons.
Wait, bigger than the water balloon fight of 1938?
The bigger one, 37.
Oh, wow,
I'm telling you, man. Even the one at 36, I'll tell you. But I made sure to do my research before I bought the balloons. Then I had to have a crew of people spend an hour and a half to get them all filled up. And we lined all the kids at the Catholic Children's Home, all like 15 on one side, 15 on the other. And for 45 minutes, it looked like a rainbow, because those things exploding. It's like a firecracker thing with water balloons.
So the folks that are just tuning in, we're talking to Jay Lipe and Tim Bauer from Crom.
From Crom.
No, from the Lords of Jupiter.
Yeah.
They will be playing this Saturday at Charlotte Pub, the pre-party for something bigger than yourself, which is going to be on the 20th at Bowlhaven. So a couple of chances to get out and support. If you've never been to Charlotte Pub and you're a fan of music, you're missing out big time.
Truly. It's an honor to play there,
It
man.
is.
It's
100%.
I was like, Judy, thank you, Judy, thank you.
So it's like the 10 pin of St. Louis.
It's the 10-pin of St. Louis. I like that.
Yeah.
I played the 10-pin, too.
Yeah. Not a giant place, but, man, just the biggest heart from Judy. And
and also
It's the right place.
It's like you're in a shoebox. The sound's there.
oh, yeah, for
that's
sure.
right there.
For sure. And you never know who you're going to see in there.
No.
I think Chuck Berry played there.
Well, he stopped and used the toilet for sure.
But on the 20th, you got to be there by 8 p.m. because that's the dance competition.
Okay.
I mean, it starts at 6. And, get there and have fun because you're bowling everybody else. But be there before 8. Cause go back into the bar because you're going to be – when you see a dance competition, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something special.
So who's going to be playing on the 20th?
The 20th,
got any bands lined up?
Yeah, I'm bringing Joshua Grassle back to open it, doing
Nice.
open mic, just by himself. Just let it breathe like a bottle of wine. You don't have to beat everybody up this time. He's just gonna go pretty.
Yeah,
he's gonna go pretty. Pretty, Josh.
He was at my house a while back, and we were kind of jamming, hanging out, and I told him, I said, I like bluesy Josh. I like it when
Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Tell KC95 presents Bluesy Jeff. He's opening for us on the 20th.
I like it when he holds back. Maybe.
But I also like when we beat you up too. If he's gonna,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, if you're gonna backstop it, no. But I take both sides of the coin with Joshua. I'll take either way because I like that. You got to be salt. It's you can't be sweet
Pigpen's
without
getting
sour.
old.
Yeah.
He forgot that he used to cover Pantera.
Speaking of, he's the first band of St. Louis that ever opened for Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
Tim was a guitar player.
Yeah, Club 367. Matter of fact, we opened for Children of Death there. That's when we seen Butch play and was like, wow, that dude is
So
insane.
you got
All
Butch
could
have to
see,
sing and play with Tim.
all you could see is elbows and knees from that
assholes,
guy.
man. Sorry.
I mean, and when our drummer decided to leave, first person we called was Butch.
That's awesome.
And he was playing guitar at the time with Lethal Sound Development, so we knew he was a drummer. I mean,
Yeah.
So
This show in Charlotte is so important to me because as a kid, I went to see Black Flag in St. Louis, and then I did my thing in Alton with him, and then I moved to Carbondale.
right.
So I came back from Carbondale in my 20s just for 6 months before I moved to Atlanta and then lived in California and stuff. So I came back in my 30s. And so St. Louis to me, I'm still a kid with. So me playing Charlotte Saturdays, like the 15-year-old Jay's playing Charlotte on Saturdays,
Sure,
man.
sure, man.
And
You're still that same kid.
and the top players of this town, man, they're just good people, and they're just everybody's friendly. There's no animosity. I have never personally me. I've not yet seen animosity amongst the top players of St. Louis. They're all great men and women. Everybody gets along. They want you to succeed. One person will jump in this band. They'll run over to help things out, and to play over there next week. It just I like it.
That's great.
I like
Absolutely.
it. Now, last time I played in St. Louis, Nelly had a competition, and he had a $10,000 first place prize for the best rapper. So they had this place called the Vault, and they had these lights in front of it and stuff on Delmar. And they set me in. I was the axe man, and you rapped. You had to come up with me on bass with a drummer, and that was fun. I did play that one
For sure.
Yeah, that
for
was
sure.
a good one.
Hey, each week we also talk about who's playing around town, so I'd like to go through a few things before we scoot out of here. Coolaverse Night's happening Friday night down at the Conservatory with Jake's Leg and Picking Daisies. So you might want to check that out on a Friday night. We got the Jake Houlihan Band at Fast Eddie's, Borderline Acoustic out at Baker's in Hell, and Leadfoot playing the Beer Barrel Pub.
Leadfoot.
That's right.
I like Leadfoot.
All on Friday night, and that's just around here. Tons of stuff happening in Edwardsville and Pontoon Beach. Man, talk about a place a lot like Tenpin. Deutsche Village Inn down at Pontoon Beach.
Yeah.
That is the place, and it's the Chapman Brothers down there on Friday night. And then we always talk about all the places around town, but you can find it all at cottonmouth.org. We listed all there. It's a worksheet for bands. If you're looking for a place to play, There's tons of places to play on there. There's places to get your music played. There's places for venues that are looking for bands. You can find them all right there at cottonmouth.org.
And if you just want to go see some music, it tells you, we got 4 or 5 pages. That's just Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Don't sit around and say there's nothing to do. There's tons of bands playing. There's tons of live music out there. And Dennis is nice enough to compile that list at cottonmouth.org. Pretty easy to figure out where you want to go.
We got to plug our buddy Matthew Murder on Saturday night, playing from 7 to 9 at Shea Maryland's in Alton. And, Cat Daddy's, right, down there in Alton.
Yep.
Now, they are basically the Bloody Bucket Saloon
of
from
Alton,
Grassle,
right?
So why not have Catfish Willie playing from 7 to 10?
Ooh.
Right?
Nice.
So he plays up there at the Bloody Bucket all the time, but nice to have him right here in Alton at Cat Daddy's on a Saturday night.
Don't tell me this town ain't got no heart.
So I think Matthew Murder had his lawyer get him down to Matthew Manslaughter.
Oh, really?
So we've changed his name.
Reduce him.
Matthew misdemeanor.
Right.
So what else happening? Roommate out at Bakers and Hale on Saturday. Clueless at the Pump House in Wood River, and the Tracy Inman Band at the Refinery in Wood River. And that's just the local shows, as we always talk about, stuff going on in Edwardsville.
Tons of stuff going on.
And around town, Granite City, and all the places that you love to go to. Plenty of music to check out, including Saturday night at Charlotte Pub. 19th annual Something Bigger Than Yourself pre-party bash with the Lords of Jupiter are sitting here with us. Sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's clear. That's Joshua Grassle right there, and there's Jerry Riggs, JJ Riggs, and hosting. Not familiar with them, but
Hosting is one of my favorite disc golf players.
Okay.
And so that's how I met him, man. I met all the St. Louis players were playing, and I went out one day, and they picked. They had this tournament, so you had to pick 2 people. Well, I got picked with him, and we won. And then the very next week, we went to a different tournament. I got picked with him again, and we won. And I was like, "Hey, what's up, Boogie?" Boogie's his name. So he's just this understanding, intelligent man of music that lives St. Louis. He's my St. Louis connection of the realest of connections I got. And he's so smooth when he lays those keys down. He'll play at the gramophone and hurt you. And he'll get a little drummer, and then he'll start getting wise on you. But you're gonna enjoy it. And it's just a more top shelf.
Is he going to make it on the 20th?
No, he did last year, but I just wanted to bring him out this time because he's so busy all the time. I'm just
we never
grateful to
did
have
go
him.
over who else might be at the.
Okay. Of course, Agents of the Free.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Agents of the Free.
Yeah.
And 29 Steps.
Okay. We've talked about them on here before, so there you go. So who's the dance party band, or the dance contest? Sorry.
The dance contest will be thrown by yours truly.
Okay.
I'll make sure it's going to be funky.
hoping.
Yeah, I got this. 8 o'clock, guys. Lords of Jupiter is going to be sitting doing the dance competition with you guys.
Okay.
We're going to do it. So it's going to be fun. We'll bring all the
You're going to bring the funk then.
it's going to be, it's going to happen.
He always brings the funk.
I have to. I mean, if you need it, I will have some. I have
Bring
plenty
the
to
funk.
share.
Wait, will the mothership actually land?
You know what?
Jay knows the mothership.
I rode on the mothership.
He handed out flyers and tacked up.
Dude, I did more than that. They flew me in from Denver.
I remember that.
Yeah, they flew me in from San Diego to Denver, and the Parliament Funkadelic bus pulled up to the airport, picked me up, and now I did the next 7 shows with them all over the state of Colorado.
Yeah.
We played One World Music Festival. We played, we did Aspen, Breckenridge. It was so cool. And so I learned a lot from that tour. So when I went back to California, I took some of the tricks they showed me, and I started battling DJs in Vegas.
Yeah, I rember you talking about that.
Yeah, it was good
you
stuff.
go from posting flyers for them and things like that to playing with them. So there you go.
That's the way it should. Well,
But here's
How does Bootsy get off
here's
the
what
stage
I
and let
learned.
you
Here's
know?
what here's what I learned from Richie Shakin' Nagan.
Okay.
If George Clinton offers to pay you, if you've been playing with him and jamming with him just kind of for fun and for free, hanging out at some shows, it's cool. But if he offers to pay you, don't take it. Because as soon as he's paying you, he's looking for a reason to get rid of you.
So here's the real story that I saw.
That's what Richie Shakin' Nagan told me.
So back in 1997, Parliament Funkadelic was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So Shady Grady Thomas lives in Stone Mountain, Georgia. So he brought down Fuzzy Hackins, he brought down Stingray Davis, and he brought down Simon. And they all came in and they all started recording for the world tour next year. They took my sound man and they took my Cherokee singer. So now they got them. So what I went out and did is got a bunch of barbecue and took them and dropped them off at Stone Mountain with barbecue and drove away. Then I went to all the cool black clothing stores and had them free shirts and everything for P-Funk. Brought them there. I brought them some other things too. We're on the air. But eventually they're like, hey, get over here. What's going on? So now I'm sitting there every day in the studio while they're recording their albums, just me and the band, and I'm just jamming, listening to it. So I had this act called the Safari Sound System, and we were like this all-rave, 3 DJs, a tribal drum circle, this Cherokee singer, and me on bass. And so we played the House of Blues when it first opened, when Dan Aykroyd and Madonna and Paul Schaefer built it for the Olympics. We were the first act. And so we were really good. So I started playing the Parliament Funkadelic Sunday dinners. So me and the DJ would come over, and we'd play for P-Funk. So we became real good friends. We started bicycling, and then they went in the studio, and they brought me in the videos, and made me wear the same clothes every day. It was fun, man. These are my friends. Bob DeDecker, the manager, before he managed P-Funk, he managed Aerosmith and Fleetwood Mac before them. And then he left P-Funk for a while and became the manager of Insane Clown Posse. It's good people, my friends.
Yeah.
So, but I've learned a lot from the funk, and living in the hotel rooms with them and going to all the practice. I mean, literally spending a good year and a half of my life with Parliament, it rubbed off a little bit, boys.
I learned a lot from Insane Clown Posse, and that's don't mess
Don't
with
go
clowns.
to that.
Don't mess with clowns.
No.
Don't mess with
And you know what? He was the Bob DeDecker, like I said, he's a pro. He was from Fleetwood Mac and all these guys.
Yeah.
And he was like, Insane Clown Posse, he goes, they were actually, when you were in business with them, they were business. This was all a freaking act. And
It wasn't all
no,
an act.
I'm not talking the woo-woo.
I saw some stuff, man.
I saw
see
some stuff.
things, man.
Insane, I'm trying to help you guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, look here. Let's just say this before
All
we
right,
move.
fine, you can't
Before we
fix
say
it.
goodbye and finish this all up and get off the whole George Clinton thing. Let's just say Bernie Worrell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just got to say the name.
Oh, yeah, please.
That's all.
We were leaving One World Music Festival. As we're leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning, here comes Bernie Worrell and the Woo Warriors, and they're all hugging and shit. So at my house, I got a BW carved in my bass guitar. He carved his name. He carved his initials in my bass.
I'm just
Bernie
saying.
Worrell's the man.
Bernie. That's why I had to say.
Bernie down the
That's why I had
house.
to say
Everything,
dude, everything. He's the
everything.
most sampled artist of
Don't
all
even put him with Les
time.
Claypool anymore. He just melts you.
Anyway,
Jimi Hendrix of keyboards.
I just had to say the name.
Yes.
Yes.
It's hard to talk about Clinton without just saying Bernie Worrell at least once.
And it's hard not being in this room without Bash knowing about Cottonmouth and my buddy here.
That is. You know, once you brought up Children of Death and the Butch connection, it really hit harder. Like, how do you guys not know each other? First of all,
I'm sure we brushed shoulders, but I guess we just never sat down and talked and had a formal introduction.
How we should do
Exactly.
that? Let's have a party at my house. I'm gonna put him on a guitar and you on a microphone.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have a
things are
formal
gonna get
introduction.
crazy.
I think that's
There
how
we
we
go.
should do this.
All right, well, hey, thanks for coming down.
thank you
Jay
thank you
Lipe
for having us,
returning to
guys.
the show. Something bigger than yourself. The pre-party tomorrow night at Charlax, and then the party the following Saturday at Bullhaven. Everybody's invited, is what I heard.
That's what I heard.
Everybody's
So,
invited.
and then Tim Bauer, first time on the show. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thanks for having
like
me,
I say,
man.
I think it's been 15 years since I've even seen you.
The Lords of Jupiter.
And the Lords of Jupiter, right? So, yeah, thanks again for coming in. Congratulations on 19 years of success of
Thank you,
helping widows, helping
Yes.
elderly, helping the children. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, big thanks to Halpin Music for
Oh, yeah.
sponsoring this show for 10 years now. Matt Van Voorhis, not only thanks for sponsoring the show, but just for being dead sexy.
Yeah.
Because
He is sexy.
Now
is sexy.
here's something that the people from Johnson's Corner might not like to hear, but I love to go in there and when there's the picture of him, I draw a little pirate's like patch on one of his eyes or whatever.
You know, both of those gentlemen have donated to Matt played at the Something Bigger Than Yourself with Stubblefield.
Nice, yep,
And the other gentleman, Halpin,
Yeah.
he's Jay. Come on over tomorrow. I got something for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
For sure.
Good people.
Well, big thanks to Matt Van Voorhis from Macias and German Insurance for also sponsoring the show. Thanks for coming down, guys.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you this year and in future years. Everybody out there, remember, something bigger than yourself happening tomorrow night, Charlax Pub, the following Saturday at Charlax Pub, and then the following Saturday, the 20th, at Bullhaven. So, until then, remember, get out and support local music and art.